What's up, homies? Back in August, I released a flip I made of Bad Habit by Steve Lacy as a SoundCloud exclusive, and since then, it has received such comments as, "This is fucking massive. Teach me your ways of the grooviness. I wish I could do this, lol." Well, guess what? Now you can. So here we are in the project file. I guess I'll start at the intro because where better a place to start, am I right? So the first thing you hear is just the raw acapella, which I believe I obtained using this website called splitter.ai. You basically get a copy of some song, shove it into the website, and then it spits out an instrumental and acapella version of the song. There's a lot of websites that do this kind of thing, but I just prefer splitter.ai because the URL is easy to remember.
Wanted me, I wish I knew. I wish I knew you wanted me.
You may also notice that it's pitched up a bit, and you'd be right to assume that, because it is. So this remix is 2.5 semitones up from the original key, putting us in B half flat major. The next thing I did was cut up the instrumental into these individual strums, one for each chord change. I'm also automating the formant over time, so it kind of becomes brighter towards the build-up. I've also got these sine wave chords just kind of filling out space. I've got my signature ambient sample playing in the background. Oh yeah, I also cut out bits of the acapella, put a bunch of reverb on it, and kind of had a call and response thing going.
I wish I knew. I wish I knew you wanted me.
Now for the build-up, I've got this snare roll going. I'm filtering in the main chord stack layers, which I'll go over in a moment. Got some rises and impacts. And that's basically it. Oh, then for this kind of pre-drop section, I've got this super distorted white noise bass on 9 unison, so it's like super wide as well. I've also got some chords playing over the top of that, so they all get distorted with the bass. And then this kind of bit crushed vocal effect here, which is mainly driven by a wave shaper. Alright, now for the main part. So the main idea you need to grasp when making big chord stacks is knowing what kind of sounds you need to layer to create optimal tonality and texture across the frequency spectrum and stereo field. Now I understand that some of you may be new to music production, so I might just explain what these mean. Typically, when I'm making my chord stacks, I sort of hyper-focus on the stereo field, and I try to get at least the mid and high frequencies looking kind of like a semicircle in my stereo field visualizer. This is Ozone Imager 2 by Isotope, by the way. I think it's also worth noting that the more generic and basic sounding your layers are, the more generic and basic sounding your chord stacks will be. Like if you just layer 10 different super saws, it's going to sound like just a huge super saw, which isn't necessarily ideal. So I also try to get as much timbral variety in my sounds while also mixing them together in a cohesive way. Alright, let's have a look at how I made the drops here. So I think the first thing I did was just cut up the original track like this. And for effects, I'm basically just distorting it and compressing it into oblivion. Like, look at this. What the fuck is this? There's 22% depth OTT over here, and then another one over here at 50%. I don't know what I was on when I made this. Drums sound like this. In the second half, I'm adding a clap and layering the snare with this distorted ping. Very simple sub bass over here, like it's literally just a sine wave. Also, look how loud this is. I've got this ambient sample here. I'll explain how I made these in a later tutorial, but they add so much to my chord stacks, it's insane. Okay, this one's kind of interesting. So a while ago, I was experimenting with what I named canned chord stacks. Basically, what I would do is make a chord stack, play every chord in the major scale with it, then export that as a single audio file so I could just use it in any other project, cut out the chords I wanted to use, and just put them wherever. I think this one is made out of a bunch of granulated vocal one-shots, but I could be remembering incorrectly. And last but not least, I've just got a basic super sword just filling out high end. And that's it. Those are all the layers. The second drop is pretty much identical aside from different chops. I might just go over a few more things like the build up for the second drop. This kind of break section is mostly made out of stuff I used in the intro, so I won't go over that. The guitar here is a flex preset. This is Power Chorder. It's in the Essential Guitars pack. I actually use this preset a lot in I've also got this acoustic snare roll thing because I kind of wanted to lean into that rock sound because, you know, we've already got an electric guitar. And I also wanted to create the illusion that it was like being hit more aggressively as it progressed. So I've got this transient processor that's just kind of opening up over time. So it starts off kind of tight and short, and then it gets kind of longer and louder over time. I've also got a flanger on here because why not? Oh yeah, and for the outro here, I basically took the entire drop and ran it through M auto pitch with the formant all the way down. And that kind of creates this like mellow sound while retaining like all the high end. Oh, and I'm also filtering it over time and reducing the stereo width. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you for some reason haven't heard the remix in its entirety, I've put the SoundCloud link in the description. I've got a really cool plan for the next tutorial, so stay tuned for that. And maybe hit the subscribe button. Yeah, that's it. Bye.